Hello, and today I'm doing something slightly less retro. We're going to build a super simple direct to house sort of backing track guitar setup, or with a band running keys on the backing track. Fully wireless, fully digital, no valves. The wireless unit is the Relay G55, which is a digital guitar wireless system. Had some problems with old analog units, so I've gone with this. I had to buy the rack ears so that I can get it racked. Then I've got the AxeFX Ultra as the guitar preamp, and then the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20 as the mixer slash I/O. So I've already started wiring things up. So obviously AxeFX output, it has to go to the mixer. So we've got a cable coming from the unbalanced left to the input on the mixer, output unbalanced right, and these cables are cut to perfect length. Obviously we need to get guitar into the AxeFX. We're not going to plug into the front because we're using a wireless unit. So you take your unbalanced out from the wireless unit into the unbalanced left mono input on the AxeFX. So now you have guitar coming into the wireless unit, into the AxeFX, and the AxeFX is then spitting a stereo signal out to channels 3 and 4 on the back of the Focusrite. And it's only 3 and 4 because the front inputs 1 and 2 are non-accessible from the back, so you just go to 3 and 4. And just for good practice, I've labelled them up axe left and axe right, so I remember. I won't be bothering with power, because if I do show the power, then you won't see anything. So that's really it. It's simple as that. You can run digital I/O out into the digital I/O in on the Focusrite, but you have to run the whole system in 48K. Just remember that. I had some dropout with it, so I haven't bothered with that, and I've gone the analogs out, the analogs in. Nowadays with the preamps and these Focusrite units and PreSonus units and stuff, they're all great, so it doesn't matter too much. The other thing is to change patches. I want to change patches up and down, but I'm not really too keen on running MIDI on this system. Get a bit complicated. So I've sort of done my own system and taped 2 cables together, which will then go into the pedal 1 and pedal 2 analog outputs, and that will then go into the Boss FS6. So then copy the settings on the back there, and now when you press A, that will go patch up and B patch down, or vice versa. Just swap the cables around. Super simple, basic analog connections. I don't want to have to deal with MIDI with this sort of simple setup at the moment. Obviously that will come, and the laptop is doing the MIDI patch changes, but for the moment I'm pretty happy with this setup. Annoyingly, there's no USB on the AxeFX Ultra, so you can't do the MIDI patch changes that way. You have to get a MIDI to USB cable to run. So with the USB cable to run the backing tracks, you'd plug that in there, and then that would go to your laptop. Now, as you can tell, there's no aerials visible. They're right in there, which is going to be, obviously there's not going to be any connection. So I've got this, which is an extender. So these BNC cables will get attached onto antenna 1 and antenna 2 on the unit. One A to A, B to B. That gets wrapped on the front. And then you take the ears that were provided the antennas that were provided, and stick them there. And then obviously when you're not using them, you can put them that way and the cover will still go on. And that means you have really good cover for your digital wireless system. So there you go. Obviously the other end of the wireless system is the pack. All you need to do is match up the channel to the channel that's on the front of the wireless unit. Another couple of things to cover. When you're using the AxeFX input in the back, you have to go into the I/O settings and actually tell the AxeFX that you want the rear input to be the main input. I'm not too sure what it does, but it does. Seems to be a boost in gain when you actually tell it what input you want to use. You can run the mixer software on the laptop and save the mixer presets into the unit itself, so you don't need to run it with a laptop necessarily. You can just use this as a live mixer. It's super basic, obviously. You can't run, there's no DSP, so you can't run effects. So if you wanted to do vocals, for example, you just run a mic into the front and you would then have to run it through the laptop. So yeah, that's what we're doing at the moment. And yeah, any questions in the comments? Powering is going to be a bit of a pain. I wanted to go IEC, but I've only got this at the moment and the ears are too long, so I'm going to have to shave them back in order to get them to fit in. In terms of cooling, you don't need to worry about it. There's no valves involved. So I usually just go by the theory of the lightest at the top, heaviest at the bottom. If that fails, I then go for where you're standing live and what's most easy to access, or what screens you need to see, for example. I find that if I put the Focusrite on the top, the whole thing feels really imbalanced when I lift it. But yeah, that's a kind of live prog gent shred backing track virtuoso setup. Cheers.